Hello and welcome to Roundtables Live, an open and text channel discussion in the Movies and Filmmaking Discord revolving around film. This chat can be hosted by anyone, including you. If you'd like to host a Roundtables Live, please contact a Movies and Filmmaking moderator.
Does he make original film?
Today's host is me. Nope, just kidding. It's NASCAR Freak. Sorry. I still have the script from last week. And we'll be talking about the Planet of the Apes franchise and the Caesar's Journey. NASCAR, take it away.
All right, welcome to this discussion. I wanted to talk about a trilogy of films that I think are some of the best blockbusters that have ever come out. And honestly, you can make a case for each being the best film. They not only do exactly what a reboot should do. They don't make it just flat out the same thing as the original, but they do new things. They tell great stories, great action, everything about it. There's so much to talk about. Let's just dive in right in. So we're going to go through each film one by one. Each film estimates around 20 minutes or so. We'll end with giving a vote on what our favorite films is. I'll give you mine. I'm going to keep that a surprise. So let's just get right into Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the 2011 film directed by Rupert Wyatt and starring James Franco, and Caesar, played by Andy Serkis. So let's get a little quick synopsis. If you've probably already watched it if you're here, but I'll just give a little rundown for you guys. So this deals with James Franco scientist Will Rodman taking home a genetically enhanced ape from a trial drug called AL-112. The ape has above average intelligence and is shown to take a really good fondling for the family he's in. As he grows up, though, he starts to wonder his place in life. And the treatment, the AL-112, which I didn't mention, is an Alzheimer's drug that's being used on James Franco's father, played by John Lithgow. So the film, sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, I'm a little nervous. It pretty much just deals with Caesar trying to figure out his place. Is he with the humans? Is he with the apes? And a lot of this film takes place in this like facility, this I guess monkey. I guess it's like a zoo almost. And he learns that he is not a human, but he is an ape. And I want to start off with the first part. I'm sorry if I gave a little rush, but one of the things I really love about Rise is the connection between Caesar and the humans. You know. One of the things I really appreciated was how much his acting, Andy Serkis with James Franco, is really, you can really sense the bond between them. And it's throughout the film, even when he transitions over to becoming the leader of the apes, he still knows that he gave him a really good life, you know? Because at first he wants to, and if you watch the film, you really do see him in this cage. He wants to go back home, but then he realizes that's not my place, you know? You guys agreeing with me about that?
Yeah, and I think Andy Serkis is a consummate professional actor as well. He does perform incredibly well in this film, and he's performed well in all of them up to and every film he's been in. Yeah, I totally agree. Their performance is almost like the performance between two people and not one guy in a motion capture suit pretending to be a monkey.
Oh, yeah. One thing I never got, they never felt like a guy. It felt like an actual ape. And Rise, even if it's, in my opinion, good, not as good as the other films, which we'll get to later, really still conveys that these are actual apes. I never once felt, oh, this is just a guy in a motion capture. All the apes, Maurice, Rocket, Koba, all of them. I'm not kidding. I can't name one ape that didn't feel like an ape. They all did. I'm amazed by it.
There's so much love that you can clearly see was put into every character in the film. Every single ape was kind of lovingly created, and I really appreciate that from films, especially when people try to kind of ram bad effects down our throats. This is it's definitely it's definitely a very well-made film in its structure. I think in its narrative, it doesn't let it down either, and it's just a good film. And you know, it has a bit of a positive spin on it in some ways, and in other ways maybe not so much. But you know, good film.
Well, one thing I think really helps with that is the visuals. Now, I'm going to do a little comparison to the past. Now, Planet of the Apes is obviously, the 1967 is a classic, you know. We all love it. We all know it. But, like, you know that these are people in suits. That's just the issue that always just kind of bugged me. I knew they weren't actually apes. They just felt like costumes. And I know for the time, it makes sense. You know, it's 1967, not much motion cap. Tim Burton also felt the same. I knew once again, they felt like costumes, you know? Poor costumes, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But with the trilogy, I think this is one of those trilogies you need special effects instead of practical effects, honestly. I think it really helps.
You're right, yeah.
It needs to have it. It needs to upgrade if it really shows that these are not people, these are apes. So the emotional connection can really show, you know?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of the failings, in my opinion, watching the original Rise of the Planet of the Apes of Tim Burton, you and I watched these first, so you know I'm at a bit of a disadvantage. Like you expect the effects that you get from Rise, you don't get them, and it's a little bit less than what you expect. But you know, you it was the time, I suppose, and I'm a big
it was.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of practical effects, but also when there's a time and a place. And you know, Tim Burton couldn't help it, but
it's
one thing I really loved about the effects. They really blended into the world with Rise. One of the sequences, that final, you know, I guess end on the Golden Gate Bridge, it really felt. It was not only well shot, it was well acted, had great action. It really just felt natural. It really felt like the apes were about to rise to freedom, you know? Just trying to start a new life away from everyone.
Just the ending shot of them all climbing through the trees, the redwoods and stuff.
Oh, that was good.
What a great ending.
And it flashes back to Caesar's childhood that... Yeah. In fact, Caesar needed the humans. Like, he needed James Franco to help him rise to his leadership, you know? It's like a parent, it's like a child clinging on to a parent. Then that one day, the child will leave. So,
even to show them what's right and wrong, you know?
Even if they're different kinds, that really makes the connection, because they're different kinds. That it really does.
Yeah.
Another thing I really wanted to mention about Rise is that the whole trilogy, and I'm going to go ahead and give a little into the other films, but it feels like one journey. But in each film, it is one journey within. So it's a 3-in-1, and I know, but each film does a great job setting up. Caesar's journey in Rise is the journey to leadership. That is how I viewed it in Rise. That it makes sense because it's an origin story in a way, you know.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an origin story.
He learns his place in life. He learns that there's good and bad. He learns about to trust those around him. It really is just like this epic tale, like a chapter. Like, I never felt like when the movie ended, like I knew like there's gonna be more to this. This doesn't feel like, it feels like a grand epic tale. There's gonna be a ton more. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you see some films that have clearly been set up to make not prequels, sequels, and you're a bit disappointed that they make them. But this felt like almost like the opening episodes, and it was great personally to see it. And you wanted to see more. You didn't hate it for trying to make a sequel. You didn't blame corporate Hollywood for it. I thought you blamed
It needed to continue. Honestly, I'm glad it continued. This is one of those songs I'm glad it did. And also, another thing was they kind of hinted at it in the credits, you know, with the spread of the simian flu.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about that a little bit, because I want to... this does kind of get me into a little nitpicking a little bit. How the simian flu spread. Now, let's just talk about this. So, it makes sense why it came in the first place. James Franco's trying to find a new version of the drug for his father. It's in a more aggressive type, and it just turns out to be a serious disease. That's fine. But there's a shot in the film that kind of bugged me. And it's pretty much where they're testing the drug in this facility, and one of the guys loses his mask and immediately puts it on, okay? And he's allowed to go home. No, you would not be allowed to go home. You would be
that'd
quarantined.
never happen. That'd
No,
never
yeah.
happen.
You
You're
would be,
absolutely right.
and because of that, the whole reason he went home is how the simian flu spread.
Yeah.
Like, and no, you would be
Oh,
quarantined.
you're getting a bit wound up. You're getting a bit wound up about this, aren't you?
I mean, it makes sense. It is a bit of a not plot hole, but over.
It's not a plot hole. It's more like
lapse in protocol.
I call it the
Yeah.
script taking over. It just doesn't feel when a
yeah.
moment doesn't feel natural. It feels like the script's taking over, and it kind of did there. It's the only moment in the film I saw it, but I don't know.
It's like they needed a catalyst, and no one in the writing room could think of one, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Why don't we just have them break protocol? You can just go home. It's fine."
Now you can make an argument that the apes did spread the simian flu because they do. You could make an argument for that, but I don't think they could. But at the same time, you could make a case because I wasn't it that in the scene where he's releasing the drugs to all the monkeys, wasn't that the AOL-113 drug?
I'm pretty sure.
I think so because he had the AOL-112 drug. I can't remember for sure, but I think he did. It was but yeah, it doesn't matter. You could make a case for it.
Yeah,
So,
because
that was the
either
only nitpick.
way, just wanted to say, like, was it the very last scene, like the after credit scene, right? Where
It shows
Major,
like
right, who's
the plague just spreading.
pilot, yeah, he like goes on his
and it shows
plane
the
and then
airplane.
starts spreading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do one last thing with Rise and move on to the next film. Best scene.
Best scene? Was that a question?
What's the best scene? I want to see if it, because I already have mine, but I want to see if it matches, because I think we can all agree what is the best scene in the Rise.
Personal best scene. A scene that really...
Yeah, what is...
It's seared into my memory.
I'm resisting the urge to scream no at the top of my lungs right now.
Just...
Yes,
okay.
that one. That is a good example. Just the moment when you realize, like, Caesar, first of all, is not only just intelligent enough to, like, be able to form words, but that he can, make his own decisions and stuff.
But just the execution of him just screaming no was just... I'm fine with the fact there was no even music right after he said that, just silence. That's a great silent moment. You just like...
I think the silence was deafening, and you get that in the cinema.
Any bad film would probably just put a little orchestra music to, tense the effect. Oh my goodness! No, you just need that silent moment to just take in the facts. Oh my goodness!
Sorry, some films do silence really, really, really well, where you get a painful moment of silence, and you want there to be sound just so there's something for you to cling on to, like such a moment that's so painful within the film. And I think this one was such a moment of kind of pain for the character.
It also sorry,
no, carry on, it's your thing.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I also like how it worked. Like, it did a new twist, because the previous line before the no was take your hands off me, you damn dirty apes. I thought the execution of that worked really well. Like, it was a new twist on it compared to Tim Burton trying to use that line by the ape saying it twice. There's two scenes where it's weird.
Yeah, anyway, it almost feels like discretionary when the humans are saying it to the apes, and I think it wouldn't have worked. It didn't work in the same way when Tim Burton had the apes say it to each other. It weren't as powerful as a moment. It weren't, kind of, because you'd grown to love this character of Caesar, this ape, and then when you hear him being kind of, kicked to the curb, it's a moment that I think hurt a little bit. I'm man enough to admit that film made me a little bit upset.
And I'm also glad, and I'm sorry I keep talking about Rise, but we're about to move on, but I really like how they really didn't portray the apes as bad guys. They portrayed both as good guys just trying to find their own destiny. Apes just want to survive. Humans want to just create a cure for a terrible disease.
Yeah, I had a question about that.
What is
Because alright, unlike the other two movies, this movie, the perspective of the apes and the perspectives of the humans, it's a lot more muddled. It's a lot like closer together because they haven't really separated yet. So I'm wondering, what you guys think, what perspective we, the audience, are supposed to be viewing from, and does it change at all throughout the movie, or is it
it's
like a
hard.
combination of both?
I always felt we needed to view it from honestly, if you really want to. While I think Caesar is, it feels like a lot of it is from James Franco's lenses.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Because it seems like this movie's about Caesar the same way Frankenstein is about Frankenstein's monster. Like it sort of is, but the perspective is from the humans. It's
I
the
think
humans looking inward.
yeah. And
Uh,
that changes the other films, but I think that's okay. I'm not going to criticize that perspective. In fact, I don't think
No. Yeah, I wasn't gonna
I don't,
criticize it.
so.
I was just asking.
I don't think it's a criticism. I think that's a benefit of this film is that you don't exactly see which perspective you're meant to.
I
Really.
would personally say that it is more from Caesar's perspective than the humans. Yes, there is a lot of like emphasis on James Franco's character. He is the one that creates the who basically creates Caesar, yes.
Yeah.
But talking about this, I remember all the scenes with obviously James Franco's character lives with his dad, John Lithgow's, and he has, the Alzheimer's and stuff, and there's a lot of great scenes with Caesar interacting with him. And like that's his first like realization of like death and stuff like that, and the things that what happens to people. And I would safely say that it is definitely, like you said, it's a rise of a leader. It's how Caesar, the whole entire scene with him in the I wouldn't call it a zoo, but like the I mean basically zoo, where all the other monkeys
I
are.
guess.
And like where he decides, where he's able to take control and from Koba and all that stuff. Like that's all
So
Caesar.
so what role does Franco's character play then?
Once
Because
again, he helped. I saw it as, remember, throughout the film that he created him. I mean, I think Caesar is maybe the bigger character, but I always got the idea he created him, he raised him, he wanted him back, but he recognized his own destiny. Like it's like a parent once again watching their child go off into the world. That's how I felt it, honestly.
like I mean, like thematically speaking, right? Because what we've been talking about is this is Caesar's journey. This is his rise. So
I
like,
guess you're right.
what is? No, I'm wondering though. What does Franco like play like in like a shoot, I don't know the word, but like what like thematically speaking, how does Franco play into this story?
Once again, he molded Caesar into the leader he wanted to be. He molded him. Remember, the apes helped him realize who he was, but James Franco molded him into a good leader. He raised him to know good. He raised him to know wrong. And what Caesar got from the apes was to apply that leadership skills to his own kind. The leadership skills honestly came from James Franco. Of course, that's how a parent and child works.
Yeah, like
All
you
right,
get
so
the
this gets
sense
into.
that.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Okay, thanks. You get the feeling when I watch the film that there is a very father-son relationship, and I don't think anyone's questioning that. And he never felt like a pet, and that's how it was kind of tried to be framed. I think, especially by the other scientists with James Franco's character, like it was almost like it was a pet project, or like it was a pet, or it was a research project. But there was always something more between those characters. I think, like more than just
Okay.
they were framed to be.
So,
All right. All right. Oh, sorry. I'd like to continue with Rise, but we got to move on to the next film.
Oh god damn! I was loving this bit.
I know we can go back
I have
to
a
it.
question.
We'll get back to it, but we
Sorry.
got to
All right,
keep
let's
going.
go.
We got to keep moving along. So yeah, Rise was good, but then came Dawn, and my gosh, I like how Matt Reeves he probably looked at this film and said, "This is good. How can we make it even better?" And oh my goodness, if you thought Rise was good, You ain't seen nothing yet. Directed by Matt Reeves. 10 years later, Caesar is living in the woods. He has developed his own society, and he is living peacefully until one day the humans come along trying to use this dam to help power their own society. And there's a mutual just lack of trust on both sides. So the question you asked about this film was, will fragile peace remain, or will it be a full-out conflict between humans and apes? Okay, so there's a lot to talk about this film. Honestly, I could go an hour about this film. So let's just start with, I guess, Andy Serkis himself. Now, his journey in Dawn is the journey for the peace of both sides. Because once again, he is the leader. He has had 10 years of leadership. They have safe from the humans. And now he sees these humans just coming along, and he wants to trust them. He kind of understands, but at the same time, he's got to realize, he's got to think about the apes. And there's a great parallel between Caesar and Koba, you know? See, Caesar and Koba both kind of they both have different views, you know? Koba, because of his past, he wants to kill all humans. Caesar wants to maybe give him a chance, you know? And you just... What?
Oh, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh. All right. But yeah, there's so much good stuff in this film. All right. Let's talk about how the visuals are twice as good as Rise. First off, I felt once again they feel more and more like apes as these films go along.
Yeah.
I once again never felt like they were humans in mocap suits. And there were twice as many apes in this film compared to Rise, and they all felt like apes. And I was amazed by that. I was also amazed by the sets. The sets were gorgeous with the cinematography. This $200 million budget definitely was not wasted at all.
I'd like to say as well, most of it was shot on location, which made it even harder for the filmmakers because they couldn't just rely on a green screen in the background.
Unlike Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah, no, exactly, but we don't talk about him.
Yeah. Like Jon Favreau, he just goes ahead and all of Lion King is live. It's technically CGI, all of it, and that's just
it's
lame.
Not technically. It is.
It's just
no technicality about it. It's all CGI.
I just like how they actually film in the woods in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I like that. It feels authentic.
Exactly.
Why is there an echo?
It's coming from you.
Whoa.
Here, quickly talk about the visuals. Just give me a quick minute, all right?
Oh.
It was a joke, yeah.
All right, I know I have a bit of trivia on the visuals. There's this one scene where they show footage from the original movie, but the CGI has improved so much since then, they had to like completely redo those scenes, and that's what you saw in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Which scenes were those?
There's like a scene where he goes into his old house and watches footage from the test footage. That was completely redone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
I thought they'd save, didn't they? I thought they'd save money by using footage from the old thing. Oh, it's unfair
Nope.
at all. Like the CGI changed so much.
All right. So now that we're done with the visuals, since I think they're gorgeous, let's talk about this. Oh, dang it. What is up with this? What is up? Sorry, my audio's having issues.
Please stand by. Technical difficulties.
Oh, wait, he's gone. Can I hijack this to ask my question about Rise?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right.
Go for it.
So,
All
right, we're oh damn it, he's back. Can I do it
Sorry,
anyways?
I am so sorry I'm having these technical issues. I didn't think this would happen.
Can I do it anyways?
Sure,
Yeah,
go
Isaac has
ahead.
a question.
All right,
for
cool.
it.
So, in Rise, right? We were talking about Franco's role is basically to give Caesar the moral guidance that he will then use to control all of the apes. And this
Yeah.
is true for basically everything he learns. It always comes from humans. Like he never learns anything from the fellow apes unless I'm forgetting something. So I'm wondering, are these qualities like intrinsically human, the qualities that Caesar possesses, and he's just borrowing them?
I guess you could say that. I mean, once again, Caesar feels he may be an ape. He's still there. He's more human than a lot of the other humans that are presented in the film, honestly. I mean, that's how I took it.
I think he learns more, because when he's first in the zoo, right? Doesn't Koba, right? He like bullies him and like starts beating on him and stuff, and then eventually that gives Caesar the chance to rise up against him,
Oh
you know.
yeah,
So
that's a good
I
point.
think, yeah,
Wasn't it
it is
Rocket? It
him.
was Rocket. It was
Oh,
Rocket.
Rocket. Okay, it wasn't Koba then.
Yeah, it wasn't
Koba
Koba.
was in the lab at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I got the two mixed up. I know Koba's, in Dawn, the antagonist basically, but yeah, it's from then where he realizes that, like, just because we're the same apes, like it doesn't mean that they're equal or anything, and he realizes that obviously they're different, humans and apes, but there's good and bad in everything.
So Caesar's
Mhm.
philosophy is sort of like a combination of all the knowledge and compassion he learns from humans and like
Yeah.
the Darwinian survivalism that he learned from the apes,
hmm
like a
And I
melding of those two things.
So
I
in
wouldn't
Rock
say
Dawn, and oh, were you gonna say something?
I'd just say something really quick. I wouldn't say that it is James Franco's character that gives him that tells him like what to do to be a good leader. He gives him the potential. That
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's an important distinction.
And
Uh-huh.
at Dawn, he has shown he's built society. He's free from the humans, so his leadership skills are put to the test. He is on a journey to find peace. Can he find that peace, or will it resort to conflict? You know. And you want to root for both sides in Dawn. You want to see the humans get the dam. You want to see the apes survive. I love films like that where you can root for both sides, You see them. Even Koba, you just see, I mean, he's still the villain, but in the first part of it, you see why he wants to attack. He's afraid of the humans. He doesn't want to go through that past again. So it makes sense why he would do what he does, even trying to kill Caesar. And I really love that.
Yeah, I think
That's
so, and I think oh hello, and
What? Oh,
I think that the way that the film is presented is a way that is quite unique for a lot of Hollywood films. Like a lot of Hollywood
yes.
films want there to be root for this side, the other side is wrong, the other side, has no merit, and a lot of
No,
films fall victim to this kind of
yeah.
polar dichotomy. And
In this one, everyone's involved. Every action you can see is just, oh, that's just how they want to do. They just want to survive.
yeah, and I ended up watching the film and not rooting for anyone, but wondering how it was going to affect the policy, like the politics of the area. Like, is what this person does going to affect if they get the dam, and is Koba going and getting the guns going to result in something really bad happening? You
Just,
root.
yeah, the tension builds up all the way
Yeah,
to when Koba initially just gives in and just goes ahead and wages war on the society. And like,
yeah,
you don't want that. I mean, at that point, I kind of do side with the humans because there was the peace. The peace was there. The humans would have left. The apes could have lived on their own, and humanity would have probably been rebuilt over maybe decades later. But Koba broke that peace, but you at the
yeah,
same time can see why he broke that peace. I'm okay with that.
yeah,
It doesn't feel like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
script. It feels natural. I love that.
Exactly. The motivation for Cobra doing what he did existed, and it was fleshed out enough that people didn't need like a flashback or didn't need to know what
Yes.
was wrong. It simply was not because the script demanded it, but because the world required it.
Rise showed it. He was tortured for his entire childhood in that lab, and it makes sense. He just would not trust them all.
Yeah,
He was
and
pretty much PTSD.
yeah, and the distrust of humans is something that's shown in real ape society,
Mhm.
especially when apes kind of have been tortured and abused. They will be, terrified of humans, and it doesn't try to impart human feelings on these apes. It's realistic feelings that are imparted onto these apes. Like,
Okay.
no one wants the apes to solve basic laws of physics, or have complex emotions. It's just the feelings that apes would have had
Yeah.
in real life.
All right. Now let's quickly talk about the humans, but this is my nitpick. I think the humans are pretty bland.
Yeah.
They're needed for the story, but to
In the
show
Dawn movie?
But all the humans felt pretty bland, honestly, except for Gary Oldman. He gave a great crying scene.
Gary
Oldman
Oldman,
always
I
gives it,
almost
like,
forgot he was in Dawn. I remember last year when was it last year? It was when War of the Planets came out, and there was this thing at my theater going on. It was like a see all three movies, and I
Oh.
remember with Gary Oldman, I totally forgot he was in that movie, and he was just great.
Oh yeah, he did a great job as leader. Once in, you see why he acted like that. He lost his son. He has the leader of this human society. It makes sense why he would want to attack the apes. He really just, I love. The only issue was is that the humans really, because they were focusing on the apes, that the humans had a lack of personality. That was the only issue.
Yeah.
They're needed for the story still to show Caesar the good in humans that he does seem to forget. I don't think forget, just to show, I guess, the audience that there is those that can live together in peace, but that there are those that will never live together in peace, I guess.
And I think there are a lot of parallels in the ape society and in the human society.
Could you name them?
Well, yeah, of course. Like, the human society both have people who want to live in peace with the apes, and then there's some very militaristic humans who, want to go and exterminate all of them.
The
You see the kind of parallels.
And you just wonder who's going to be the breaking point, and the breaking point was Koba, so.
The relationship between Koba and Caesar, and I forget their names, but the two main human characters are very similar.
Wait, which?
In that, all right, one is Gary Oldman, and then one is the main human with the beard that I don't remember.
The guy that's, I can't remember.
Jason
Let me get the
Clarke.
actor's name. Just a second.
It's
Gary
Jason
and not
Clarke.
Gary.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you. Yeah, he's in the Pet Sematary remake.
Caesar, Jason are both very pretty pacifistic. They're very inclined to avoid conflict. Meanwhile, Kuba and whoever Gary Goldman's character. Wait, what's his name? Kuba.
Koba.
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 I got it.
Koba.
Koba. Okay.
Apes together strong.
All right. Koba and whoever Gary Goldman's character is, both of them, yeah, they're both more prone to conflict, but due to like very personal reasons.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you wonder which side will break. And Koba. But yeah, I love this film. I love the action. I love the emotional moments. I love everything about this film, honestly. Everything. Almost. Really, other than the bland human characters, there's really not much hate because the good stuff is so good. It is so good.
If I could, I'd like to say that the ape side broke first, but I could very easily see like an alternative where the human side broke 1st because you always had them kind of walking down the razor's edge. You always had them kind of teeter-tottering between peace and war, and humans would do one thing and apes would do another, and you'd live kind of on this set of scales, and you didn't know which side was going to jump off first and purge the other into war. And it could just as easily have been the kind of militaristic and aggressive humans as it could have been the apes, I think.
Yeah. Also, one thing I really like about, because they mentioned this in the film, that Gary Oldman stated that if you can't get the dam, we're going to go ahead and attack. So what if the dam had not been allowed to be worked on? Would the humans have attacked first? Because think about it, they had all the armature. I don't know how many, I don't know the specific set of circumstances that I guess would have happened, but Gary Oldman did state that if they couldn't get the dam, they would attack. So I think, once again, great reasons for both sides to do the thing they do, because it's just survival. that's just pretty much it in the end. You know?
Yeah, it is just survival for both sides, and I think you can draw parallels from this film to things that happen in real life, and that's the beauty of it. It isn't just a film about apes beating up humans and humans shooting apes. There are subtle little paradigms that just drive the film upwards and give it that added edge of reality that I think is lost in a lot of Hollywood films, and I think it's lost in a lot of films in general.
Do you guys have anything else to say about Dawn, since we're about to get to the final film? I think we could have. I'm more interested to see if others think this is better than the best film of the trilogy. I'm just curious.
I've got some more things to say about Dawn.
Okay, go ahead, Banana.
Like, first of all, what you guys were talking about, the parallels and all that, like, there's, a quite obvious one between Koba and the mechanic of the human group. Like, and for cinematography, like, I wish we had stills, because this movie, like, I remember when I was watching this in the theater, I took a lot of notes about stuff, like, shots that I thought were really nice.
The tank scene.
The tank scene, just the whole fight scene when the apes come, and like that is just amazing.
And it was sets. It just wasn't just CGI like Avengers, where
Yeah.
it was just a bunch of CGI in New York. No, these were, I think, was the Avengers CGI, or
It was
The
mostly
Avengers
CGI.
was mostly CGI.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think these were actual sets with the CGI coming from the apes. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some pictures up here because I was curious about how they made them, and it's like there's a set here with Andy Serkis and his ape, and it is the same exact. There's no green screen. There's nothing other than the addition of the apes, and you have to ask yourself that it would tell yourself it would have been so much easier than to make it green screen, like so much easier. But they wouldn't have that level of
Jon
realism.
Favreau for Jungle Book did that, and then Andy Serkis decided, hey, let's just film it in the jungle like actual people.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to
filming on
say,
location.
it's pronounced Andy Serkis.
Serkis, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I just
I
wanted
always
to
get
say
that name
I've always said it's Serkis, and I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Dawn ups rise by a lot with great action, great performances, and now we come to the final part of the trilogy. The one that is really the most unique one out of the three. War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, before we talk about this, the trailers were the first thing to talk about this, because the trailers made this seem like it was going to be this all-out war between apes and humans, the final conflict for the planet. Who's going to get it? Is it going to be the humans? Is it going to be the apes? What's going to happen? It's in the Battle of Winter. And then what we got was some war, but it was interesting because there wasn't a lot to it. It was actually a lot of walking, talking, silent moments, quiet, bleak. There were two big action scenes in this film. One in the beginning, one at the end, and that was it. Most of it was just walking around, talking, and acting. And it was a bold move.
Break movie.
A bold move, because I think some people, I'm not saying everyone because there were good reviews, but I think some were definitely mad that they didn't get this all monkey human war. I think Dawn could technically be that war, but
honestly, I was going to say that the names could have been switched. This is almost more of a Dawn of the planet actually being ape controlled, and the last one was more of a war for that.
Well, at the same time, there is a war, which brings me to the final journey Caesar has in this film. We have come. He's gone on this arc as leader. He's a leader now, and he searched for peace. He can't find peace. So what's the next step for his journey? It's the journey of himself. To not give in to his animalistic, I guess, like, desires, his anger, his revenge for what happens in this film. To not be like Koba. He wants to be this good leader. He wants to do what's right, but you see this temptation. You see the struggle in this film, just wanting to kill the colonel, just blood rage on him, And I love this conflict. I know some people complained there wasn't much conflict, but the stuff they showed, you didn't need that much to show, and they did. Like when Caesar is tied up on the, I guess, damn, I forgot what they're called. Anyway, when he's tied up,
It's like
and
a
he sees
pole,
that-
isn't it?
yeah, and he's tied up, and he
Almost
sees
like a
Koba
cross.
just coming up to him bloody, and you just see that's like I always took it as like a metaphor of his.
It's a bit of a crucifixion.
Yeah, I know. That was always like when I first saw it in the theater, like,
Jesus.
oh my gosh, monkey's being crucified.
Yeah.
This is dark.
And with war, you get a lot of political stuff going on here, especially in relation to what was going on then, and I guess is still going on now.
And once again, this film is about, well, even though there's a war, in this film they do kind of remove the neutralness and kind of make you want to side with the apes in this one. But still, at the same time, they do show why the humans are doing what they're doing until I guess the plot twist about why the humans are doing what they're doing. Because if you don't know the twist, it's that the humans are not wanting to fight the apes; they're trying to fight other humans. That was a bit odd choice, but I can see why they made it.
I see why they did that.
Yeah, like they're
It
trying to
was
show that
different.
it's the coming of
Like-
circle of that humans will wipe each
Yeah,
other
if you're
out and
looking
not
at
the apes.
if you're looking at like the arc of the apes' relationship to the humans, in the first movie they're like the anarchists and the revolutionaries, and like civilized society has to like react to them, and it's very much subservient to them. And then the second one, they're very much on equal footing thanks to that disease. And like
And
as we
now-
talked, as we talked about it, there's like parallels between the characters in the apes and the humans, and they're very similar, and they have very similar motivations. And now they're sort of better than the humans. They're just sort of above them.
And
And the humans-
scientifically, because
yeah.
remember, the disease has mutated and it's pretty much made them primitive. They can't speak, and they look like it really is kind of fitting because it matches metaphorically and scientifically. So that the disease, like, it doesn't feel forced that the disease mutates to make them mute. It really never
The
did.
third one wasn't monkeying around, eh?
I'm really
So, yeah.
sorry, Smiley, but the
Yeah.
Worth it.
ruined it.
Caesar
Thanks-
delivers
thanks,
his best
Smiley.
performance in this film by far. This is his best performance because you really just see the conflict. You really see him just
Yeah.
ending his journey as his leader. He's like, the old king who's about to retire, except this one he dies, which makes it seem like Moses. So yeah,
Ape Jesus.
what?
Sorry,
There is a lot of.
I just wanted to say Ape
Christ
Jesus.
metaphors.
I
There
can't-
are a
yeah.
lot of metaphors in.
There
in
was
Caesar's portrayal.
Want to know metaphors there were a lot of? There was a lot of biblical metaphors. The entire
there
thing
were.
felt like Moses' story. He's trying to get his people out of slavery. He's trying to lead them to the promised land in a way. And he ends up not getting to, I guess, because Moses didn't get to go to the promised land. He doesn't get to, I guess, in this sense, because he dies right when he gets there. Heck, you could even compare him to Jesus in a way when he's like crucified in a sense. So yeah, there's a lot of metaphors in this.
There are a lot of kind of when he is being tortured by the general. I think it's a general anyway. Maybe it's a colonel.
Colonel.
It's a
Colonel, yeah.
Colonel.
Woody Harrelson did a
See?
great job with that.
Oh yeah, Woody Harrelson
Yeah,
is
yeah.
another
His-
actor that I think consistently throws a performance out.
I liked his speech when he's just presenting to Caesar his entire, his why he does what he does.
Yeah.
And he just tells him like he just pretends like he didn't want to kill his son. Like I thought that was too harsh that he kind of dehumanized his son as soon as he couldn't talk and he was willing to kill him. But at the
Well-
same time you see oh, you don't want it to spread, but it seemed
Yeah.
too harsh in my opinion.
I
And
think
he
it's
is,
more
like-
to show the lengths that he will go to preserve his, his like basically race, because
Humanity. He wants humanity
yeah.
because remember, as soon as he lost his humanity with the disease, he immediately just killed himself.
And
Yeah.
He
But
is
the little
right.
girl, as she's there, is to show that even just because you can't talk doesn't mean you're human. You're, and the colonel didn't realize that.
And I think the metaphor for this film is that you aren't less human or more ape because you can or cannot talk. You are
Yeah.
just simply who you are. You exist within that space, and I
Yeah,
think the colonel fails to recognize the fact that it's still a person. Whether or not they can speak is irrelevant. Like, did they just go around and murder people that are mute?
It's still a
And-
life.
And it makes the
Exactly.
final conflict so much better when Caesar, when he tells, I can't remember which ape, but he tells him, I can't escape Koba, but he points the gun. And then Willie Harrelson puts the gun on his head. He wants him to blow his brains. Caesar wants to just pull the trigger and get this just revenge for his whole family's death, but he doesn't. He puts the gun down, and once the colonel does it himself. It was the ultimate climax to show he had conquered himself to be a better leader. And that's just a great arc to pretty much show he was not going to let he wasn't going to become like the humans, because he's kind of superior to the humans in the end, kind of ironic.
Definitely feels morally superior.
More human. Yeah, he's more human than all the humans. That's the irony of this whole thing, and they're apes. I love that. Matt Reeves is trying to show, like, wow, these apes are more humans. Oh, humans, you should feel ashamed for yourself.
Yeah, I think using the army personified that perfectly. The military, so aggressive, so blunt. It's like a blunt instrument, the army. And whereas the apes before in the first were much more aggressive.
Yeah.
They wanted their world back, and the humans in that film.
And you feel that, but okay.
Right.
But yeah, I really did, like, once again, this film did feel like they were trying to get you to side with the apes, but at the same time, you saw the humans, and then they were trying to give the message that, oh, humans will wipe each other out, that the apes had been, that humans were now inferior. It's fitting for the trilogy. Now let's talk about the criticisms, because while this film had a lot of it did have a few criticisms that I would like to present. Some of which don't think are bad, because some people really hammered this film, and I think that they shouldn't have. First is Bad Ape. And it's not that he's bad. He's not Jar Jar. There were some criticisms that he was Jar Jar. I don't understand that criticisms. He's nowhere near Jar Jar. Nowhere
Jar
near.
Jar is possibly the worst thing ever put to film, and I've seen a lot of films. That makes me angry. Thinking about Jar Jar makes me go.
I have no idea why people thought this guy, like, compared to Jar... Have you seen Jar Jar?
I have, more than I'd want to see Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
I saw him in 2 films, too many.
I get why they put... Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add a criticism. Well, not even a criticism, but, like, no, he's not even a comic relief character. I feel like he's there to just show some, like, as ironic as it is, just humanity, Like, this is a character that's not totally consumed by war.
I can't agree with you there. He felt like comic relief to me. Even if it wasn't bad comic relief, he just kind of did. I wonder if they put him if just like, oh, this is a bleak film, because this was a very bleak film.
Oh yeah,
they needed some little light to keep the audience from becoming depressed.
Like, one of my favorite scenes.
I don't know. I thought when I watched Bad Ape's character, Good Ape's character.
Oh, he had some moments. He did have some moments. It's just
I thought the character provided this catalyst for the misery to be more miserable,
and that's good. Yeah, and that's fine.
The optimism made the bleaker bits bleaker, but it also drove the high moments up. And there were a few high moments, like when they discovered the promised land, in quote, and they and other moments that were positives. It made them feel more deserved.
Anyway, really quickly.
Yeah, his name was an inappropriate word.
Because I want to say this, but yeah, not a bad character, just a little. Anyway, here's another criticism. Now, I didn't agree with this one, but I'm talking about audience ones, was the convenience of the second act. And more like the sense that everything seemed to fall into the ape's favors to escape the prison, like the tunnel system, the gas explosion, the little girl giving the disease to Colonel. Did that feel convenient to you guys? Like, I guess I'm going to say script taking over.
Yeah, I'd say that it was convenient.
It just never really felt kind of natural.
I would say it's. You can't really say it's like. I understand that, yes, you need to progress a certain plot. You need to get people to realize that, or get Caesar to a point where he's not like in this, and everyone else to a point where they're safe. But I would also call it like it amplifies or the weaknesses of like the humans themselves. Just like the Colonel getting sick.
That didn't feel convenient. That did not. The only convenience I would probably say is because once again, there's a good argument that the soldiers are not military, but just regular people. Because remember, it's been 10 years, so it makes sense they would just grab anybody they could. But the only one that just kind of felt that was the scene where the apes they're climbing above the soldiers. I just feel like one of them would get caught. I don't know. It just felt a little, but not to the point like the script taking over. Because I've seen films that are very convenient. Best example is Finding Dory, where literally it felt like the script was writing them to, oh, they got to go here. Oh, this is going to happen. No, that didn't feel that.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different.
So yeah. Anything else to really mention? The ending. Some people were kind of little taken aback Caesar had died. Like it felt like, I mean, it makes sense though that he does die, he's completed his arc. He's been the king. He has led his people to safety. It really kind of seems fitting.
Like he's owned the stage. He's done his part. He's saved the apes.
He's no needed.
Time.
I felt it was really important for him to actually die because I mean it makes sense. The arrow because he it took all of his strength to I guess get there, and then when he finally did. But yeah, I think it was fitting.
I thought it was quite heartwarming that he got there. He made sure that his people were safe. He held on, and you could tell he was holding on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cry over an ape movie, but it's close to managing.
I don't cry in movies.
Has been. Well, you're lucky, sir, because this film almost drove me there.
So yeah, War is a really different type of blockbuster. I wish more people had saw it because the box office wasn't as good, but it played something new. It wasn't what people expected, and I respect it for it. It has a lot of great moments, few conveniences, but it is still an amazing film and wraps up Caesar's journey from little ape to grand leader of his society.
I think it does that in a very beautiful way, and
so
it does it in a very poetic.
Yeah. To end this, I want everybody to come out of mic. I want everybody to speak. What is their favorite film? Get out of mute now. Reveal your favorite film. I will tell you.
Definitely Dawn.
Yep.
I will say
Dawn.
I enjoyed Dawn more. I think War is the better film, but I did enjoy Dawn more because of mainly the action scenes. But War is, I think, a better movie.
Oh, I'll tell you.
My favorite would be Dawn too. I love.
Yeah, Dawn. Dawn definitely.
I think War would have helped it if it had a few more action scenes because I know movie in the end, but I love those action scenes. I just wish they had a few more in War, but I'm okay with it because it makes sense why they didn't for the movie's sake, I still see a few mute. I want everyone to reveal what their favorite film is.
I like War, obviously. It was the most thematic.
Probably, what was the second one? Rise or Dawn? Whatever the second one was.
Dawn is the second one.
Yeah, okay.
So it looks like the general consensus is that Dawn is the best one. And honestly, that's not surprising. I did a poll on Reddit movies, and they all said Dawn. So Dawn is.
Oh, I voted on that.
Dawn.
Wait, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh wow, I guess it's a small world. So yeah, it makes sense. Rise doesn't get any votes. It's a great film still.
Yeah, I think this one was the most complex, but it presented its complexity in a way that was understandable.
Dawn had something for everyone. It had the emotion complex, had the great acting, and action. War is a little more not for everyone because of its more bleaker and nature.
No monkey
Yeah, it's more
business.
pessimistic.
Rise is just good enough to get by. I mean, it's still great, but I don't think I would call it compared to Dawn and Roar, of course. So
Well, Matt Reeves was a step up in quality in director.
Rupert Wyatt wanted to make a more conventional trilogy. I'm glad Matt Reeves took it over. I do wonder what would have happened. I'm not saying Rupert Wyatt's trilogy would have been bad, but Matt Reeves, oh man, his trilogy. I have faith in him in the Batman film.
If that ever happens.
I don't know pre-production, but anyway,
Yeah.
I guess we'll just thank you guys so much for doing this. I'm glad to host. I'm sorry if I sounded a little jumbled or rambled
No,
on
you were
a
fine,
bit.
dude.
Great.
Great job.
Thank
This was
you
my
for
first one.
hosting.
I have another idea in mind for this in the future,
Oh.
but I'm glad to talk about Caesar's Journey because they are 3 amazing films that are blockbuster, unique, that I think need to be remembered throughout time. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, I guess that
Thank you very
concludes
much.
episode
Dawn
4.
wins. And that has been the tale of Caesar's Journey. Or look into it.
He's trying to finish.
All right, I'm gonna sign off now. You guys can continue talking, but so.
All right, just a reminder that you guys can host your own Roundtables episodes if you'd like, and that is episode 4 for Roundtables. Thank you, NASCAR, for hosting, and thank you for everyone coming out. All right,
Sorry for
we're
my
signing off.
jumbledness.